The Wild West era, a period of American history spanning the late 18th to the early 20th century, continues to captivate our imagination and interest. This era was marked by cowboys, outlaws, pioneers, and the vast untamed frontier. The Wild West era represents a time of unbridled adventure and exploration. It was a time when people pushed the boundaries of known civilization and ventured into the unknown. The promise of new opportunities, undiscovered territories, and the thrill of the open frontier fueled a sense of adventure that still resonates with us. Beyond the iconic cowboy imagery and tales of outlaws, this era is riddled with mysteries that continue to captivate our curiosity. The mystery of the river lizards. In the early days of January 2000, Ron Schaffner, a highly experienced researcher from the United States, received an email that caught his attention. The sender, who went by the name Derek, used a non-specific and generic email address, which initially raised Schaffner's curiosity. However, the information contained within the email caught his attention. In continuation of that intriguing introduction, Derek proceeded directly to the main point, recounting his remarkable encounter with what can be considered one of the enigmatic mini dinosaurs that reside in this particular area. According to his account, during an excursion with a friend on his dirt bike near the Fountain River, in close proximity to Pueblo in July of 1998, they were suddenly astounded by the sight of a truly extraordinary creature walking on 2 feet, swiftly darting across the open expanse right in front of them. Derek's narrative left no room for doubt regarding the exceptional nature of the bipedal being he and his friend witnessed that day. Derek and his companion promptly returned to Derek's residence to retrieve a camera. They then revisited the site of their encounter in order to capture photographic evidence of the peculiar creature's tracks. As their investigation unfolded, Derek learned of other sightings and serendipitously discovered that a friend had actually managed to photograph a similar creature. After some persuasion, Derek's friend granted him permission to share scans of those photos, along with his own track pictures and a detailed account of the July 1998 sighting, with Ron. Ron, being well connected in the field of cryptozoology, promptly showed them to his fellow American cryptozoologist, Chad Arment, who specializes in American mystery reptiles. Despite their efforts, when the photos were closely examined, even after magnification, Ron and Chad concurred that the subjects captured in the images could easily be mistaken for dinosaur models due to the lack of discernible details. However, despite his initial skepticism, Chad maintained a sufficient level of interest to reach out to Derek via email. In his message, he expressed the need for more compelling evidence to substantiate the existence of these extraordinary creatures. Intriguingly, this exchange between Chad and Derek showcases Chad's lingering curiosity despite his doubts. In relation to the animal depicted in this photograph, which Derek referred to as a river lizard, Derek mentioned that it took him quite some time to acquire scans of the creature. Unfortunately, he did not provide specific details regarding the time or exact location where the photo was taken, only mentioning it was captured somewhere in Colorado. The uniqueness of this creature's appearance raises questions, as it does not match any known species documented by the scientific community. Chad has recently come across information suggesting that the term river dinosaur has been used to describe creatures similar to the one pictured. The photograph of the river lizard provided by Derek has circulated online for numerous years and has sparked significant attention and generated numerous comments on various websites where it has been shared. The general consensus seems to lean towards it being a hoax, although there is no concrete confirmation of this. Despite conducting multiple Google image searches using different approaches, such as focusing on the entire image, the section with the person, and the section with the creature, no relevant results have been found. However, the photograph does exhibit some peculiar elements, particularly in relation to the creature's appearance, as pointed out by Chad in an account detailing this and other sightings of bipedal dinosaurs reported in the United States. While the photograph continues to generate debate and speculation, it is crucial to note that the authenticity of the image remains unverified. During a trip to Arizona, a couple had an extraordinary encounter with what could only be described as a river dino. This remarkable sighting left them in awe as they stumbled upon the lifeless body of a reptile that was like nothing they had ever laid eyes on before. According to Suchik, who accompanied them on the expedition, the creature appeared so surreal that it resembled a mere plaything. This captivating incident not only fascinated the couple, but also sparked curiosity among those who heard their account, as it unveiled a mysterious creature from the depths of the river. In the early months of 1996, a resident of the Mesa Verde region in Colorado had a rather extraordinary encounter. This individual witnessed a creature that was unlike anything she had ever come across before. In her own words, she described it as standing at a height of about 3.5 feet. It moved with such remarkable speed that it was difficult to track, and she added that it seemed to have only 2 legs, which appeared to provide it with a sense of balance during its swift movements. What made this creature even more intriguing was its unique physical appearance. It possessed a snout in the shape of a cone, protruding from its head, giving it a rather distinct and unusual look. Furthermore, it boasted a lengthy tail that measured around 2 feet in length. Upon encountering this remarkable creature, the witness sought the expertise of Jeff Thulin, a renowned authority on reptiles from the Reptile Reserve. It turned out that Thulin had heard similar reports from others in the past, further adding to the mystique surrounding this enigmatic creature. After carefully examining the description provided, Thulin admitted that he couldn't identify any known species that would match such a description. During their journey through the Yellow Jacket area of Colorado in 2001, a mother and daughter made a remarkable observation that intrigued their imagination. They reported encountering a peculiar creature that possessed distinctive avian attributes, intertwined with a reptilian essence. According to their detailed account, this enigmatic being exhibited a lengthy neck, reminiscent of a bird's anatomy, accompanied by slender legs. However, it was peculiarly devoid of feathers, and its appendages, often referred to as arms, seemed to arise directly from its upright neck rather than its torso. Having carefully scrutinized this mysterious creature, the witnesses estimated its overall length to be approximately 5 feet, extending from its elongated neck to its tail. Their vivid description offers a captivating insight into a creature that defies conventional categorization, eluding an easy classification as either a bird or a dinosaur. Cowboys and aliens. In 1896, an intriguing incident occurred in Lodi, California, involving 2 individuals, Colonel H.G. Shaw and Camille Spooner. While journeying from the quaint town of Lodi to the Fresno Citrus Fair, they found themselves encountering a group of 3 extraordinary beings who appeared to be anything but human. These otherworldly entities stood tall at an impressive height of 7 feet and possessed a remarkably slender physique. The incident they reported was an attempted abduction by these enigmatic strangers. This peculiar encounter not only piqued curiosity, but also raised questions about the existence of beings from beyond our known realm. In a report by news outlets, it is mentioned that Colonel Shaw, who is known for his previous role as an editor at the Mail, along with a young individual named Camille Spooner, were making their way back from Lodi in a horse-drawn buggy. The journey took place during nighttime, adding an element of darkness to the scene. According to Shaw, while they were peacefully jogging, the horse abruptly halted in its tracks and emitted a frightened snort, clearly indicating its state of terror. As they directed their gazes upwards, an astonishing sight greeted them: 3 peculiar individuals. While bearing some resemblance to humans, there was an undeniable uniqueness about them that set them apart from anything they had previously encountered. Standing at an impressive height of nearly, or perhaps exactly 7 feet, these beings possessed an extraordinary slenderness that further contributed to their distinctive appearance and aura. In regards to these peculiar entities observed by Shaw, they were not adorned with any type of clothing. Rather, they had a peculiar bodily covering that is somewhat challenging to describe accurately. This covering was neither akin to hair nor feathers, but possessed a remarkably soft texture, akin to the gentle touch of silk. Shaw had an intuitive feeling that the unfamiliar individuals he encountered posed no threat. Their curiosity extended not only to Shaw and his companions, but also to the horse and buggy, prompting them to examine every aspect with meticulous attention. Shaw approached them. According to Shaw, the individuals in question had hairless faces and heads, with small ears and noses that resembled polished ivory. It is worth noting that their mouths were remarkably tiny, in stark contrast to their large and radiant eyes. This description paints a vivid picture of their physical characteristics, highlighting the absence of hair and the intriguing features of their facial structure. According to Shaw, he noted that the individuals in question possessed a unique and ineffable attractiveness that defied proper description. As an individual with an ingrained inclination for journalism, Shaw exhibits his characteristic curiosity by questioning the mysterious beings about their origins. However, it appeared that the entities struggled to comprehend his inquiry, resorting to making peculiar warbling sounds instead of engaging in conventional conversation. Shaw then touched one and said that with his hand placed underneath his elbow, he applied a gentle upward pressure, and much to his astonishment, he effortlessly raised him off the ground. Considering the weightlessness of the being, he would estimate its specific gravity to be less than that of an ounce. This intriguing encounter showcased the remarkable ease with which he was able to lift the creature, an experience that left him pondering the extraordinary properties that defied conventional gravitational forces. Each being bore a satchel, gracefully affixed to a cylindrical projection. Periodically, either of them would bring the projection to their lips, and during this time, a distinct sound of released gas reached their ears. The two visitors from beyond our celestial sphere habitually carried a container connected to a conduit, reminiscent of a shoulder bag. This particular moment marked the point where Stockton made its entry into the historical records of stories recounting alleged encounters with advanced beings. Shaw recounted his encounter with a group of individuals, and he detailed how one of them, acting as the apparent leader, made a signal. This signal prompted one of the group members to make an attempt to physically lift Shaw, presumably with the intention of taking him away. The beings, despite their best efforts, were unable to succeed in their endeavor. Even though Shaw offered no resistance whatsoever, they were incapable of budging him from his position. In a final attempt, all three of them joined forces, but their efforts were met with complete and utter failure. Unveiling egg-shaped lights that emitted a soft glow, the entities showcased an extraordinary phenomenon, a colossal airship suspended in the air. The lights, resembling luminous minerals of unknown origin, illuminated the area. The object measured, to the very minimum, a span of 150 feet, though it is unlikely that its diameter exceeded 20 feet. It exhibited a characteristic pointed shape at both ends, lacking any visible machinery except for a prominent rudder located on the outer surface. As they embarked upon the ship, their movement differed from the way we commonly walk. Instead, their strides bore a gracefully swaying motion, with their feet making contact with the ground only at intervals of approximately 15 feet. The beings effortlessly propelled themselves 20 feet into the air, landing gracefully on the ship's deck. Their movement through the atmosphere showcased both speed and agility, as they rapidly expanded and contracted their bodies with a remarkably coordinated muscular motion. According to Shaw, he holds a theory, which he acknowledges is purely speculative, that the individuals we observed were actually inhabitants of Mars. He proposes that they have been sent to Earth with the specific objective of acquiring one of its residents. This notion entails a comprehensive exploration into the concept of extraterrestrial life, as it suggests a purposeful mission from Mars to our planet. The missing Thunderbird photo. In April 1890, an intriguing tale emerged from Arizona, recounting a remarkable encounter involving two cowboys and a colossal avian creature. According to the story, these brave individuals successfully vanquished a beastly creature reminiscent of a pterosaur, an ancient flying reptile known to have roamed the earth in prehistoric times. The creature in question boasted an awe-inspiring wingspan, smooth skin devoid of feathers, and bat-like wings, while its countenance bore a striking resemblance to that of an alligator. Fascinatingly, the cowboys purportedly transported the lifeless body of this extraordinary creature back to town, where it became an extraordinary spectacle, its mighty wingspan stretching across the expanse of an entire barn, meticulously pinned for all to see. This enthralling account evokes images of a bygone era when mythical creatures and real-world wonders converged, leaving the residents and onlookers captivated by the mysterious creature. According to reports, it is possible that a photograph capturing this particular event was featured in the local newspaper known as the Tombstone Epitaph. Additionally, there is an existing narrative that details the unfolding of these events, specifically centered around the state of Texas. In the May 1963 edition of Saga magazine, a captivating account of the legendary Thunderbird, as well as several notable sightings of enormous avian creatures during the early 1960s, was shared by writer Jack Pearl. However, Pearl did not confine himself to merely narrating the tale. He took it a step further by asserting that the Tombstone Epitaph, a newspaper dating back to 1886, had published an image depicting a colossal bird affixed to a wall. According to the newspaper, this gargantuan avian had been taken down by two adventurous prospectors and transported into town on a wagon. To provide a sense of scale, 6 fully grown men were positioned in front of the creature, their arms fully extended, with fingertip touching fingertip. Astonishingly, the wingtip-to-wingtip measurement of this magnificent creature spanned a staggering approximately 36 feet. This comprehensive and in-depth retelling elevates the original text, delving into the rich details of the Thunderbird legend and the historical account published in the Tombstone Epitaph. By enriching the narration with additional information and examples, it offers a deeper understanding of the subject matter. While the current version of the story presents a variation in both the narrative and the physical characteristics of the creature, there appears to be a connection to the same incident. This prompts us to question whether this tale is nothing more than a legendary myth from the Western region, or if there is some validity to the account at hand. In the September 1963 edition of Fate magazine, a publication renowned for exploring the supernatural and paranormal phenomena, an individual named H.M. Cranmer, writing as a correspondent, affirmed the authenticity of the story in question. What's more, Cranmer mentioned that the photograph, accompanying the story, had been widely circulated across numerous newspapers throughout the entire United States of America, garnering significant attention and intrigue. Cranmer's recollection of the photo was not unique, as renowned researcher Ivan T. Sanderson also had a vivid memory of encountering the same photo. In fact, Sanderson even claimed to have possessed a photocopy of the image at one point, which he had lent to 2 colleagues. Unfortunately, those associates misplaced the copy, adding to the intrigue surrounding the photo's whereabouts. Interestingly, the editorial team at Fate magazine speculated that they might have previously published the photo in an earlier issue. However, despite conducting a thorough search through their archives, they were unable to locate it. This puzzling situation contributes to the ongoing mystery and fascination surrounding the photo and its elusive existence. The initial epitaph narrative detailing the capture of a fascinating and extraordinary winged creature was originally published on April 26, 1890. However, it is important to note that this account made no mention of a photograph. The epitaph story resurfaced in a 1969 edition of Old West, creating further confusion about the authenticity of the alleged photograph associated with the incident. This re-emergence of the narrative only served to blur the line between fact and fiction, leaving us with lingering uncertainties about the true nature of the photograph. Interestingly enough, the publication of this article sparked a reader's recollection of another peculiar incident. In the summer of 1970, an individual reached out to the magazine and shared a first-hand narrative regarding a separate encounter with a flying creature near Tombstone. According to the writer, they had crossed paths with 2 cowboys who recounted a strikingly similar sighting around the year 1890. The cowboys claimed to have encountered this extraordinary bird-like creature, engaging in a pursuit that involved shooting at it and even chasing it until their horses refused to venture any further. Consequently, this colossal avian creature managed to evade capture, remained undocumented, and was not brought back to town. It is worth noting that, apart from the difference in the outcome of the encounter, their accounts bear a remarkable resemblance to Bell's original report. The epitaph, however, stated that the photo did not exist, or if it did, it had not been in their newspaper. Responding to numerous inquiries, employees of the paper started a thorough search of back issues and files. They could find no such photo, and even an extended search of other Arizona and California newspapers of the period produced no results. A number of articles that appeared in Pursuit, the Journal for the Society for the Investigation of the Unexplained, prompted a memory from W. Ritchie Benedict, who recalled seeing Ivan T. Sanderson himself display a copy of the photo on a Canadian television show, The Pierre Benton Show. Unfortunately, though, No copies of the show have ever been found. During the 1990s, there was a widespread fascination surrounding the elusive Thunderbird photo among enthusiasts of the subject. The intensity of this obsession was such that it sparked an extensive and in-depth discussion that spanned several editions of Mark Chorvinsky's Strange magazine. Readers who claimed to have come across the fabled photo referred to various sources, including ancient books, Western photograph collections, magazines targeting men's interests, National Geographic, and more. In their relentless quest for evidence, individuals meticulously combed through countless volumes of True and Saga magazines, hoping to stumble upon the sought-after image. However, despite these efforts, their searches yielded nothing more than Jack Pearl's previous article, which had already been mentioned. This comprehensive exploration into the search for the Thunderbird photo not only highlights the widespread interest, but also underlines the meticulous nature of the investigations undertaken by enthusiasts across different sources and publications. During the late 1990s, John Keel, the acclaimed author of the Mothman Prophecies, adamantly asserted, "I know I witnessed it, and not only that, I corroborated my experiences with numerous other individuals who also had the privilege of encountering this enigmatic entity." Keel firmly believed that he encountered it within the fascinating pages of men's magazines such as Saga or True, which enjoyed immense popularity during the 1960s. These publications delved into extraordinary topics including Bigfoot, specters, and other paranormal phenomena. Keel vividly recollected the iconic photograph that resonated with most observers, depicting men garbed in cowboy attire and the creature resembling a pterosaur or other prehistoric winged beast. Notably, Keel explicitly stated that the creature bore no resemblance to a vulture with its hooked beak, as explained by Sanderson. Instead, Keel described it as possessing a long and pointed beak akin to that of a pteranodon, a statement detailed in renowned works such as Jerome Clark's thought-provoking book, Unexplained. In the year 2000, a popular television program called Freaky Links revitalized the legendary Thunderbird photograph by staging a similar photo that captured widespread attention. The photograph depicted a lifeless pterosaur lying in a vast field, its impressive wings majestically spread. Surrounding the prehistoric creature, 7 men clad in Civil War-era attire held rifles, evoking a sense of historical intrigue. Notably, one of the men was positioned at the forefront, confidently placing his foot atop the mythical creature. This captivating image, created as a prop by Fox TV and Universal Studios, has since found its home at the esteemed International Cryptozoology Museum, where it continues to fascinate enthusiasts of hidden animal species. In addition to the numerous illustrations, there has been a surge in the appearance of photographs showcasing deceased colossal winged reptiles alongside humans, which do not seem to be connected to either the Freaky Links or the montage image. These images have been circulating widely on the internet. While it is plausible that these photos are modern recreations, the exact source of many of them remains uncertain. This phenomenon has sparked intrigue and speculation among researchers and internet users alike, prompting further investigation into their origins and authenticity. The mystery of Belle Starr. Belle Starr, a prominent figure in the 1870s and 1880s, garnered the nickname Bandit Queen due to her notorious involvement in horse theft and highway robbery, primarily across the vast expanses of Oklahoma. This audacious outlaw not only made a name for herself in the criminal underworld, but also formed romantic relationships with a string of male bandits, further adding to her intriguing persona. The list of her paramours includes the infamous Jim Reed, Cole Younger, Jim July, and Sam Starr, whose surname she adopted, etching it into the annals of history. Belle Starr's gripping and tempestuous existence captivated the imagination of many during her time. Throughout her life, Belle engaged in numerous criminal activities, which resulted in multiple incarcerations. Surprisingly, she managed to elude law enforcement for a significant portion of her existence. Even while fulfilling the responsibilities of motherhood, Belle remained committed to her outlaw lifestyle. Undeterred by societal gender norms, she pursued her unlawful endeavors with a single-minded pursuit of wealth and riches. However, her criminal escapades came to a sudden halt on February 3, 1889, when an unidentified assailant ended her life in a small town in Oklahoma, leaving behind a trail of potential suspects. Bell's criminal repertoire included horse theft, wagon train robberies, and holdups of general stores across Oklahoma, North Texas, and Arkansas. The end of her life brought an end to a chapter filled with audacious criminal exploits that had captured the attention of many. There were numerous individuals who could potentially hold animosity towards her. Nonetheless, one person, in particular, stood out among the rest: Jim July, Bell's former lover. Historians later described July as being particularly stormy, alluding to his turbulent nature. His relationship with Bell was no exception, marked by constant quarrels and even continued animosity after their separation. The situation escalated to the point where July allegedly offered monetary compensation to someone in exchange for ending the life of his unpleasant ex-partner. On the day Bell met her demise, she was supposed to accompany July to Fort Smith, Arkansas, to face charges of horse stealing. Both of them were expected to surrender themselves to the authorities. However, something unexpected occurred during their journey. According to accounts, Bell, it is said, had a change of heart before reaching Fort Smith, indicating a reluctance to proceed with the supposed deal. However, tragedy struck when, on a desolate country road, devoid of any witnesses, she was taken out. While one newspaper report exaggeratedly claimed she was fired at an astonishing 60 times, this particular detail is highly unlikely. Some sources suggest that Bell managed to make her way back to a nearby farmhouse after being shot. Unfortunately, her injuries were grievous, and she succumbed to them shortly thereafter, unable to be saved. The passing of Starr caused quite a stir in the region, attracting significant attention from the local community. She was renowned for her notorious and unpredictable behavior, which led to her making numerous adversaries, ranging from her neighbors to the sheriff of the town. As soon as the incident occurred, suspicions immediately fell on July as a potential culprit. However, later on, another individual named Watson, who had been engaged in a long-standing feud with Bell, came forward as a possible assailant. This prompted the sheriff to focus his attention on Watson and subsequently bring him to trial. Despite the charges pressed against him, Watson was ultimately acquitted due to lack of substantial evidence. Meanwhile, July never faced any formal legal proceedings. Unfortunately, the case of Starr remains unsolved. So, what do you make of these Wild West mysteries? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.